All right, welcome back, Student of the Game podcast. I'm your host, Tavares. Once again, thank you all for tuning in. All right, so NFL draft is among us. It's a couple days away. All right, what I want to know is, okay, like whoever your favorite football team is, who, like out of all the NFL drafts that you ever watched, okay, as far as in the first round, who are the most what draft pick, first round draft pick for your team got you hyped up the most on the day of draft day, okay? On the day of draft day. Okay, I don't mean like I'm not saying okay, who are your greatest players that your team ever drafted, cuz you find that out after they play a couple seasons. No, I'm talking about on draft day, like you did. I don't know if you did all the research and stuff, or, once you saw your team drafted this player, did you go like, oh man, or were you just excited like, oh yeah, my team, it's on now. It's on now. You know what I'm saying? Give me 5 players. If you can't name 5, name 3. If you can't name 3, name 2. If you can't name 2, name 1. All right? So I tell you what, I'll start off. So check this out. I have 2 NFL football teams that I pull for. The Houston Texans and the Seattle Seahawks. All right. Long story short, guess what? Once the Houston Oilers left, a lot of people, they jumped ship to the Cowboys. I did not want to jump on the Cowboys because you know why? They did not draft Randy Moss. The heck with them. And they fired Jimmy Johnson. All right. How dare you? How dare you? Grab that Thornburg voice. But anyways, I started to follow the teams that Warren Moon was on, and one of his last few stops was in Seattle. And there was this game where him and Joey Galloway just connected, bam, bam. And I said, you know what? I'm going to root for the Seattle Seahawks because I did not know anybody in Houston Texans who rooted for the Seattle Seahawks. So that was my team. Then 2002, the Houston Texans came, and guess what? Of course, I'm going to root for the home team. I'm going to root for the home team. Now, they do upset me the most, but I still would like for them to succeed because, hey, they do great. I do. It's better for us. It's the city. So I'm always represent the H-Town for the H. All right. But anyways, as far as the Houston Texans, all right, here's the thing. Our first draft, when we drafted David Carr, Derek Carr's older brother. Okay, and I remember Derek Carr when he was younger. He was with his brother. They were showing him throwing the football and stuff. I was excited because guess what? This is going to be our first quarterback for the Houston Texans, our first starting quarterback. And if you saw his highlights for Fresno State, I thought David Carr was awesome. And I always been a fan of quarterbacks with strong, powerful arms, and he had high velocity on it. Of course, he wasn't Dan Marino, but to me, I thought he had a hell of a cannon. He was mobile. He can move around the pocket. So I'm like, okay, man, this is going to work out real good. So when we drafted him, man, hey, I was ecstatic. I was excited. I'm like, okay, here we go. Here we go, people. I mean, it's on. Football is officially back in Houston, Texas. And we have our quarterback. All right. So that was my first one. Okay. The second one was the next year was Andre Johnson. I didn't think this team was going to draft Andre Johnson. I seen him play at the University of Miami, and I don't watch a lot of college football, but the fact that I knew about him and his game tells a lot because, like I said, I don't watch a lot of college football. But I'm like, this dude here literally looks like how I create myself on Madden. About 6'2", 6'3", 230 pounds. Just built, and fast, can do everything. So that pick there really got me excited because I was thinking about, hey, Carr now has a phenomenal weapon. Him and Andre can be like Montana and Rice. Okay, that's how I felt. All right. Let's see. The next one it wasn't until we drafted Mario Williams. Okay, part of me wanted Vince Young, but I understood that at that time the Texans brought in Gary Kubiak, and at the time everybody was under the impression that Gary Kubiak can get David Carr going. And it's one of those things, if Gary Kubiak was to get David Carr going, then there would have been no need to draft Vince Young. But I would not have opposed that. But then there was Reggie Bush. I like Reggie Bush, but I had a bitter taste in my mouth because USC lost to Texas and stuff. But and I didn't think Reggie Bush had his best performance in that game, even though he was still a phenomenal player. But I always thought Reggie Bush, to me, I wish he would have been in the slot. He would have been a beast in the slot. But anyways, by them drafting Mario Williams, I said, you know what? I like this because guess what? I'm tired of Peyton Manning just sitting back there comfortable in the pocket like this. Oh, let me do my taxes. Let me call my wife. Oh yeah, all right, yeah, cool, all right. Let me throw this pass to Marvin Harrison or Reggie Wayne or Edgerrin James. Eyes closed. Boom. I got tired of him just sitting in the pocket all day. So I'm like, Mario Williams, he's gonna be able to get the Peyton Manning and stuff. So that's the reason why I was excited about that pick. All right. Let's see. The next pick was let's see, Brian Cushing. Okay, Brian Cushing. I seen Brian Cushing play at USC. I'm like, this dude is phenomenal. This dude is all over the place, man. And guess what? He had the perfect attitude for a dominant linebacker, and he was. Injuries derailed his career. Like, that took away, to me, I think it took away like half of his career. But I think he had like 4 years where he was a straight all pro, man. Brian Cush. And his name reminded me of Jerry O'Connell's character in Jerry Maguire. Cush-lash, 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 Cush-lash. But yeah, man, that Brian Cushing draft pick, I'm like, oh, it's on. This defense here got Mario Williams, Brian Cushing. Oh, it's on, man. And D'Amico Ryans, it's on. Dante Robinson, it's on, So I was very excited about that pick. And my fifth pick, the fifth one, of course, it was Desean Watson. Because for about 2 or 3 years, the Texans is like, okay, we need a quarterback. All right. It was once Matt Schaub left, it's like, okay, we did not have a decent quarterback out there. So it's one of those things. It's like, okay, we need a quarterback. And we didn't get him until Desean Watson some years later in 2016 draft. And that was awesome because as a matter of fact, I didn't think we was going to be able to even get him. But I'm glad the Texans was able to get him. And I'm like, okay, all right, I like Desean Watson. Dabo said he's the Michael Jordan of college football. Hey, he said he could be the Michael Jordan of the NFL. So, all right, of course, who wouldn't want the Michael Jordan of the NFL? You can't go wrong with that. And so far, talent-wise on the field, Desean Watson has not disappointed. Okay, he's an imperfect player. He's still got a lot of development to improve on and stuff like that. But it's one of those things. It's like it's bittersweet now because we don't know if he's going to ever be a Houston Texan again, all right? So, but those are my top 5 picks for as far as my Houston Texans, all right? So, now a lot of people probably wondering why didn't you have J.J. Watt? Well, if you go back and look at the draft, most people booed J.J. Watt, all right? But see, I didn't boo him. I was just confused because I wanted Nick Fairley at the time. That's who I wanted. I didn't know who J.J. Watt was, and I'm glad J.J. Watt became who he was. And let me tell you something. J.J. Watt proved me wrong. Not because I didn't boo him, but I'm like, I wanted Nick Fairley. And I think overall it's safe to say that his career was better than Nick Fairley's, okay? All right, so let's go to my Seattle Seahawks, okay? Seattle Seahawks. Who were my top 5 picks with Seattle that got me excited? I don't know if I can in the first round. Okay, I tell you what. Let's see. All right, so like I said, I became a Seahawks fan. So what year that was? That was like in 98, 97. And see, I didn't really start paying attention to the NFL draft until a couple years later, okay? But in 2001, when they drafted Corinne Robinson, oh man, when I saw the highlights of this dude, I'm like, this guy here can catch a short pass and just take it to the house. And he was a big, solid receiver. He could break tackles too. So I'm like, okay, man, this dude here, this is going to be a nice weapon for good old Matt Hasselbeck, all right? He can just, boom, he can just break it and take it to the house. Him and Darrell Jackson are going to be a good tandem, So I was very, very excited about that pick. And in that same year, they drafted Steve Hutchinson, the guard from Michigan. I've always been a Michigan Wolverine fan in college basketball and in college football. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Can't go wrong with the dude from Michigan. He must be great. And on his highlights, man, this dude here was just shoving people all over the place, man. He was moving defensive players out the way like they're pillows, just boom, boom, boom. So I'm like, okay, all right, this was a strong draft for Seattle, all right. Let's see. The third one was the draft 2 years later down the road. Marcus Truffaut. I love that name, Truffaut, and he was a cornerback. And to me, looking at his highlights, I'm like, you know what? I think this guy here has the potential to be a shutdown corner. All right. And you know what? Guess what? I thought he had a real good career, but I was very excited about that pick. Very excited about it. Let's see. So that's 3. Let me see. The fourth one. Let me see. The fourth one was Aaron Curry. Now that draft, I didn't get a chance to watch the first round on that draft because me and my wife we were out of town for our anniversary. And but when we came back in town, I called my friends and they said, "Yeah, y'all drafted Aaron Curry." I'm like, "Oh, he was college defensive player of the year," and I'm like, "Okay." And what I saw in Aaron Curry, I projected him to be like maybe like a Michael Singletary or something like that, Ray Lewis for the Seahawks. And, I'm like, okay, it's on. That defense is about to be, Jim Moore Jr., God, Aaron Curry is about to be on. Watch out, people. So I was very excited for that pick in the first round. Very excited. His career did not live up to expectations, but guess what, man? That's okay. Most people don't even make it that far. But so far, hey, he's doing a brilliant job as a coach. So, hey, shout out to Aaron Curry, man. Aaron Curry. The original Chef Curry. Well, now, hold up. Steph was drafted before him, right? Yeah. And the last, let me see. Is that 5 so far? Okay, I got Corinne Robinson, Steve Hutchinson, Marcus Truffaut, Aaron Curry. Okay, yeah, and Earl Thomas. Let me tell you about this Earl Thomas pick in the first round. See, that year, I thought the Seahawks was going to draft the safety out of USC. I think his name was Taylor Hayes. I mean, that dude there can hit. He was fast, and Pete Carroll had coached him at USC, right? But then they kept talking about Seattle may draft Earl Thomas, and when they drafted Earl Thomas, and I'm familiar with Earl Thomas because out of Texas, I followed UT a little bit, and I'm like, okay, I knew he was fast, but I always thought he was kind of small. So one of my friends, Stanley, he's a diehard UT fan. So I called him. I say, hey man, what can you tell me about Earl Thomas, man? Is he the truth? Is he legit? And he was like, man, that dude can ball. He can play. And I pulled up a few videos, and I'm like, okay, because see, at that time, I'm like, man, how is this dude going to be able to stop the big running backs of Frank Gore and Steven Jackson, who's playing for the Rams at that time in the NFC West? And then I'm like, oh, I saw some of his highlights where he was coming in, and he comes in fast, and he was taking down running backs, taking them down pretty quick, and he can cover too, and very, very knowledgeable, very, very astute student of the game. All right, and who would have thought? Who would have thunk it? He would have went on to help lead the Legion of Boom and the Seattle Seahawks to their first ever Super Bowl victory. So that pick right there, man, I was very excited about that one after doing more research on him on that same day. All right, so let's see. As far as Seattle, so let's see my top 5 first round picks that I was excited about: Corinne Robinson, Steve Hutchinson, Marcus Truffaut, Aaron Curry, and Earl Thomas. All right. Okay. All right. So those are my 5 for Seattle, and you heard my 5 for the Houston Texans. Once again, on draft day, which picks were you most excited about in the first round throughout your team's draft history? If you can name more than 5, hey man, drop it down below. Let me know. If you can name only 5, comment below. If you can only name 4, comment below. If you can only name 3, comment below. If you can only name 2, comment below. If you can only name 1, comment below. If you don't know any, go and research and see which one you thought you would have been excited about, and at least name one. Okay. Once again, thank y'all for listening. I greatly appreciate y'all giving my podcast a listen. I appreciate all 43 my subscribers subscribing to my channel. If you like what you hear and like what you see, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. All right. Student of the Game Podcast. Peace out.